Hello. Hi, hello. My name is Hazardous Mix, but you can call me Hazard. My pronouns are they and them, and I am a crafty cactus creature. Today we are going to be taking a bit of a break from Stars of Time to do some more gay shit. So we're gonna do some Tragic Jury. We're playing It Gets So Lonely here. I think Steam recommended me this game, and it looked neat. All I know is that we're in a fairy tale. Other than that, there's a lot of reading. But yeah, apologies for not streaming yesterday. I just was like not feeling it. I was just like not in the mood and like whatever. So we'll get back into Stars in Time next week. I was able to make some progress in terms of like getting Bonnie's food thing down. So I kind of went through Mira's and Odile's conversations to get the buff again, and then we'll go straight back into next week. But yeah, I'll play It's Get Lonely here. I'm sure it's gonna be so cool. So casual. You are running through a forest. I gotta shoot. It is late at night and the sky is as black as pitch. There's nothing to light your way save for the moon's milky glow, but its rays cannot reach you, not properly. The trees which surround you, jetting out of the earth like eerie monuments to a foreign god, are blotting out most of the light. You cannot see where you are going. Even if you have commenced your flight at a more reasonable, sensible hour, however, with the light of the sun to aid you, it be of little use. You do not know where you are going. You have no map, no route, no plan. You are running like a frightened animal, anxious and nervy, with no destination in mind. You have no desire as you run, save to escape. Do not let yourself be killed. If that were to happen, you are certain that you would be ruined. You have no choice, therefore, to keep going, on and on and on, so your feet are screaming at you for mercy. You have no idea how long you've been running. Time has begun to bleed together. It has lost all meaning. Something sharp snags at the hem of your skirt, but you do not have the luxury to pause and examine what has happened. Instead, you tug. Your skirt tears, the sound splitting to the forest, and you stumble forwards with a shocked gasp. You are free, but at what cost? Your skirt has been irreparably damaged. It might be too late to worry about such trivial matters now, though. If you do not start running again, and soon, she will catch you. Then your life will be over. You do not know if she is still following you, but you do not want to risk looking over your shoulder. If you were to see her, silhouetted behind a tree, looking at you with that sickly sweet smile which once ensnared you, you would lose what little nerve you possess. Your legs will lock up, and your blood will freeze in your veins. Then, you would crumble. You would fall, but you would not hit the ground. She would be there to catch you. Did she not promise, when you made that contract, that you would never be alone? Oh. You would like to take back that silly wish of yours, but it's too late for that. It's too late for a lot of things. All you can do is run. This is such lovely music for what's actually happening. You run and run and run while icy fog swirls around your feet. It is cold enough to sap the heat from your body, and you shudder from it. It feels as though you are drowning. It feels as though you are being buried alive. Your knees and shins, meanwhile, are bleeding. You cannot endure much more of this. But if you value your own life, you must. You run and you run and you run until at long last, you reach a fork in the road. There are 3 paths which split off through the forest. Well, 4 if you count the path down you just came. You cannot exactly double back on yourself, though, not when you have put so much effort into running forwards. You can only press on. The 3 paths are signposted, which is something of a strange sight given you are so deep in the forest. Dark though as it might be, you have grown accustomed to the shadows. You can just about pick out the writing on this old, dilapidated signpost, curved and slanted though it is. Your fate, if you'll forgive me for sounding cliche, is in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Okay. Shore, the village, the castle. Alright, I'm gonna take up some guesses here. If we go to the shore, I feel like we're just gonna drown. Go to the village, I have a feeling we're gonna run to someone and they're gonna die in front of us. Or the village will be against us to begin with. If we go to the castle, again, a spitball on here. I feel like we'll encounter something much worse. Let me write these down. Alright. Shore, village, castle. I should have saved. That's fine. We'll go to the village. So you want to go to the village. Good idea. Let us see what further trials await you there. This night is far from over, as much as you might wish it was, and there's still much and more to discover. I wonder what will happen next. You follow the path which leads to the village, supporting yourself in weary, aching limbs which feel ready at a moment's notice to snap at the knee beneath the burden of your weight. The soles of your feet are screaming at you. You need to lie down, and quickly. You only hope as you continue to run that you will find a suitable residence which to rest at the village. You do not know what will await you at the village, but you have visions as you run of a quaint scenic settlement, all thatched cottages with sloping roofs. Oh my god, sloping. Jesus. Surely there will be a kindly peasant who will be willing to put up a young runaway for a few nights. You can imagine too the face of this kindly peasant from the fairy tales you read in abundance as a small child. She'll be broad-shouldered and broody-faced with dull brown hair crammed beneath the cap. Her arms will be sturdy from many years of washing clothes and milking cows, but she will be kind to you and compassionate, just like a mother. You do not know what mothers are like. You hardly ever spoke to yours. You are only guessing. You are not a complete fool, however, despite your tendency to daydream, and you do have a few reservations. Peasants do not, as far as you know from your rapacious reading, have much money, nor do they have much food. It might be hard to convince a resident of the village, even the kindly washerwoman of your fantasies, to take him, a complete stranger. Still, you must try. That is all you can do, really. So, you run to the village. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods, but finally, you manage it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. Did I not say that time had begun to lose all its meaning? The forest is behind you now, at least, and all the awful nightmares which dwelt within it. It is still cold, though. It's still foggy. It's still dark, too. The sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now, though as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. The moonlight shines down upon the village, nestled among the hills like a diorama. Hope anew bubbles within you. You have finally made it. Surely not, but your salvation awaits you. You follow the winding dirt path to the village, looking this way and that. But your hope, such a precious fragile thing, soon begins to fade. The village, up close, does not look half as welcoming as you imagined. There are cottages, yes, but they all are in a state of disrepair. There are holes in the roofs and holes in the windows. Most of the doors are tightly shut, but others are gaping open. The kitchens beyond them, even darker than the night sky which shrouds you. There are no lights on in any of the windows, neither can you see any people, insomniacs like you, at them. You cannot hear anything either beyond the sound of your own footsteps and the low, mournful sighing of the wind. The village is quiet, eerily so. It is meanly obvious, even to such a naive girl such as yourself, that something terrible must have befallen this village. You know before you try your luck at any of these houses that nobody will answer you. There will be no kindly, red-armed washerwoman to welcome you here, no matter how much you wish for. But that does not stop you from wishing regardless. Your knuckles rap smartly against the wooden door, your efforts soon prove, however, to be in vain. There's nobody here to hear your entreaties. How very sad. You try another door, then another, but the result is the same, regardless of how many doors you rap upon. Nobody answers you. How could they? There's nobody there. Once again, you have found yourself all alone. At least you found some dwellings in which you can rest your weary head. Will you utilize one of these cottages for your purposes? I'm just gonna say. Nobody is here, you might as well. But no, an abandoned cottage is not what you're looking for. You would far rather have companionship, would you not? Am I not running away from someone? Bravely, you swallow your tears. You wipe your eyes with the back of your arm in a well-practiced motion, then inhale. You square your shoulders, and you keep on going. Surely the village cannot be completely deserted. There must be one person here, at the very least, who can help you. That is what you are thinking as you resume your search. You flit from cottage to cottage with precious little to show for your determination, until you make yet another discovery. This village, with its squat thatched cottages bathed in the moon's glow, has a church. Explore that a bit. Well, of course it has a church. The villagers who once dwelt here were not godless heathens. Not that their faith did them all that much good in the end. So, the sight of the church soothes your overtaxed heart. You're so focused on your fantasies of a kindly washerwoman taking you in, that you do not pause to entertain the fancy of a kindly nun doing much the same. All hope is not lost. You approach the church, which seems to tower over you despite it being so humble. The church is a small one, but it is stout and sturdy. It must be, for it has withstood centuries, ever standing, sentinel, on this hill like a relic from a bygone era. The church does not have any stained glass windows, but it does not need them. Even without more luxurious trappings, the church still exudes an aura of dignifying solemnity. The stone buildings is fringed with a sizable graveyard, one which occupies the rest of the hilltop and some of its sloping sides. The graves, which have been planted by generations of wardens, are hewn from a similar stone to that which the church's walls are made of. Some of the gravestones are shaped like lodgen. I know what that word is. Lodgen is. While others are shaped like roses. A handful of headstones are even shaped like angels, though these are few and far between. There are very few people in a village such as this one who can afford such luxurious final resting places. You look at the tombstones with an almost childlike curiosity, forgetting in your examination of the visceral, heartrending fear which gripped you as you ran through the forest. You are out of the woods now, and you have, subconsciously, already begun to relax. You try to read the names honed in the myriad tombstones, but it's dark and you are tired. Some of these graves are very, very old indeed. You strain your eyes, but you do not have much luck in this endeavor. Oh well. Such superfluous details are not important. You eventually tired of examining the graves and turn. This graveyard is an expansive one, unusually so, given the village itself is so small. How could it boast so many corpses? There's much to explore. You walk about the perimeter of the church, casting your gaze first here, then there, then everywhere, consumed as you are by your immense, all-encompassing curiosity. And as you do, you see her. She looks like an ordinary girl, small and scrawny, just like herself, but she is much, much more than her unremarkable appearance might suggest. For some moments you observe her, hiding all the while in the shadow cast by the church, like a furtive lizard clinging against a rocky edifice to shroud itself in the sun. There is no sunlight here, though. There's only the night sky, and the stars, and the moon. Beneath the moon's light, a silvery implement the girl is clutching shimmers. It takes you a few moments to see what it is the girl is clutching in her hands. It's not until you see her manipulate it, its sharp edge biting into the earth, that you understand. It is a shovel. This girl is standing in an isolated corner of the churchyard, late at night, when she is digging a grave. Well, you suppose she could always be digging a hole for the sake of it, but her work seems much too precise for this to be the result of mere whimsy. It is hard for you to see her face given the distance between the pair of you, but her posture is one that speaks of supreme concentration. She moves slowly, mechanically, like a woman on a mission, driving the end of her shuffle into the earth over and over. Her motions are regular enough to be repetitive. There is something hypnotic almost in the manner in which she attends this task. Should you risk interrupting her? Do you dare? You get the feeling that she would not appreciate it. The shovel in her hand, meanwhile, is rather hefty. If she wished it, she could cause you no small amount of damage with it. Old anxiety makes your skin prickle. You do not know if you should risk speaking to her when she, in her dark cloak with her shovel, looks so very strange. But what do you have left to lose? You have come this far. It would be folly to turn back now. It is with this thought in your mind that you decide to approach this strange girl. Your footsteps are quiet, you have grown accustomed to slinking around like a cat, but they are not quiet enough. This girl's senses must be finely tuned because she blinks. Then she turns. Your eyes meet, and once they do, you feel a breath catch in your throat. You did not have a clear view of the girl before, concealed as you were in the shadows, but now as she is looking at you, you can tell that she is pretty. Her skin is very smooth, and her hair, though obscured by a dark hood, is very fair. Her eyes, meanwhile, are a clear, cool blue, like ice. Those eyes of hers, which are large with unease, are fringed with very long, bare eyelashes. She looks as though she stepped out of the pages of a picture book. She's simply too perfect to belong to this world. Perhaps she's some kind of vision, a waking dream, a hallucination? But no, she's none of those things. The shovel she is clutching in her hands looks solid enough, its pointed tip glittering wickedly in the moonlight. You steel yourself, expecting perhaps some sort of outburst. But the tension soon drains from the girl's slender shoulders. Her fingers, which were once gripping the handle of her shovel, tightly relax. Her lips curve upwards at the edges. She is smiling, and what a smile it is. It is transformative. When she smiles, she looks radiant, angelic almost. Hers is a smile that's so suffused with light that your eyes begin to prickle from it. You're so relieved, you almost feel as if you can cry. It would not be your first time you have wept during this night, and neither would it be too surprising if you did. You have been through a lot. You must be exhausted. The girl holding the shovel seems to realize this because she bridges the distance between you cautiously, as one might approach a skittish cat. Then she says, in a rough voice which does not match her dainty appearance, well, she does live in a rural village, what were you expecting? Oh, it's so good to see another person. I was afraid I was the only one person left alive, the only one in the whole world. Now, this is quite an effusive reading. Her introductory speech is riddled with exclamation marks. She's rather more personable than her apparel would make one suggest. You, a well-bred young lady, cannot help but feel overwhelmed. It is your turn now to be on your guard. Anxiously, you observe the girl with the shovel and you ask her what she means. What happened? Oh, did you not know? There's an awful lot you do not know. So much, in fact, it would fill in a whole encyclopedia. No, a whole library. You shake her head, ashamed at your ignorance, and the girl frowns. You must be from around these parts. I guess I should have known. This village is a small one, and everyone knows everyone else. The girl's expression falls. At least, they used to, back when there were still people to know. That ain't the case now. Though, not after the plague. There was a plague? That would certainly explain why the village, when you walked through it, was so quiet. Did everyone else succumb to this mysterious illness? That's alright. It's just me here now. I have not seen another human being in a long, long time. It gets so lonely here. Roll credits! My god, that's the name of the game! Now that's an interesting turn of phrase. It catches inside your head like a burr. Have you heard it before? Looks at the camera. You do not have much time to ponder this, however, because the girl takes a step towards you. Oh, but where are my manners? They must have gone rusty after being on my own for so long. My apologies, miss. You look like you've come a long way. You said you were a traveler, yes? And your hands are very cold, just like ice. Would you like to come inside? Maybe have something warm to eat and to drink? My home's small and afraid, and my food ain't nothing fancy, but I'd be more than willing to share. It's not every day another girl stops by, especially not as one pretty as yourself. I'm feeling very blessed. I'm very concerned. The girl laughs, a carefree, airy sort of laugh which does not match your initial impression of her. You thought when you saw her among the graves that she would be more distant, somehow more mysterious. Perhaps you're mixing her up with someone else. You're still unsure if you can trust this girl, but her invitation is an appealing one. It is much more appealing, certainly, than spending the night outdoors in the cold, keeping on the graves. What are you, a romantic poet? Please. Make a show of pondering the girl's invitation. At the very least, you do not want to appear too eager, but your acquiescence is, alas, oh my god, inevitability. Why would you ever refuse her? This person, she's gonna die. My gut feels like, or something's gonna happen. She's the first friendly face you have seen all night. Without her, you would be all alone. Suspicious. Your hostess leads you to a small, humble home located but a stone's throw away from the church, built in the shadows of a twisted, towering sycamore. The girl's home is in such a state it seems a folly to even call it a home. hovel would to you be the more appropriate descriptor. But when your hostess leads you inside, her eyes alive, and she says, "Here we are, home sweet home." You don't have the heart to tell her that you don't find her home very homey or very sweet. We can't be rude. That would be incredibly rude. Yeah. As a guest, you ought to be more appreciative. That's not terrible. You know, we got 4 walls, a roof over your head. Half-heartedly, you look around your newfound surroundings. The ceiling is supported by a wooden joist and is perilously low. Not so much that you're in danger of bumping your head, but just enough to feel claustrophobic. There's a fire in the corner, though it's not consigned to a grate. The fire instead is blazing in the open, a circle of logs set alight like a scene from a witch's kitchen. Above the fire hangs a silvery pot suspended from one of the wooden eaves. Other objects of interest are hung from the eaves, iron implements you take to be cooking utensils, various herbs, and strips of meat left here. The smell of cooking fills the air, mingled with the sharp, sour scent of unwashed bodies. How, you wondered, does your hostess clean herself? We do not see a bathtub anywhere. Perhaps she does not possess one? The girl's home is unremarkable in every regard, but it is, you suppose, better than nothing. At least there's a roof over your head and food to put in your belly. Exactly. The girl looks at the pot suspended over the fire, which she gives a stir with a ladle. Then she brings the ladle to her lips to taste whatever concoction she has brewing within it. You can only hope that it is not like the weird sisters from that famous play, brewing a broth with veiny snake fillets. Yes, I think that's just about done, the girl says to nobody in particular. She sets the ladle down back into the pot and then looks to you and smiles. Did you want something? Looks as though you come quite the long way, and you must be hungry. Those words are like music to your ears, even more divine than the trumpets of God's most loyal angels. You're so hungry you could eat a horse. Not that there are any horses in the immediate vicinity. You express your interest to the hostess, who smiles in response. I thought you liked the sound of that. Just give me a few moments. Are we gonna get this person's name? Are we gonna actually introduce ourselves? Do we know who we are? Your hostess retrieves 2 earthenware bowls from a cupboard with rickety hinges, into which she pours 2 hefty helpings of whatever it is she is cooking. This she serves with bread, which is so hefty it could be used as a murder weapon. Interesting choice of words. It's not much, I'm afraid. It's only soup and bread. It should take the edge of your appetite, though. You thank your hostess for her hospitality, your stomach rumbling all the while. The soup does not look like anything you would typically consume, but the soup's poor presentation does not dissuade you. It's true enough that people eat first with their eyes, but when one is hungry enough, one becomes obliging enough to eat almost. Why else do you think that people, when stranded upon desert islands, will resort to cannibalism? Humans are creatures of necessity. You like to wrap yourselves up in pretensions, but in actuality, you are not much better than animals. You're so hungry. Your stomach is achingly empty that you could certainly descend upon your food like an animal. Your teeth glint, your incisors gleam, and soon you have consumed all that the hostess has offered you. Your hostess watches you while you eat and giggles once you have finished. Did you enjoy that? Oh. You catch your hostess' gaze, suddenly abashed. You're so hungry you fail to account for her judgment. Now you have some food in your belly though, and you have been suitably warmed. Your old self-consciousness is returning. Did you not just make a fool of yourself? You demur shyly, looking at your lap, fearful all the while of what your hostess might think of you. You do not want her to take against you. You do not want her to take against you. Fortunately for you, however, and for your fragile ego, your hostess is not the judgmental sort. She's not like the girls you grew up with. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's nice to see my food being appreciated so heartily. I know I'm not the best, but I've been practicing for a long while. I used to cook for my father all the time, you see. This remark catches your attention. Quizzically, you look at your hostess, your abashment over your animalistic eating habits suspended. What happened to our father? It seems a grim thing to contemplate after having eaten, but didn't your hostess mention something about a plague? Yes, your hostess says, her voice soft now and serious. That's right. There was a plague. And what of the villagers? What of her father? They're all gone now. Gone? Yes, you see. Your hostess rearranges herself upon her chair, one slender leg folded over the other. Then she begins her tale in earnest. My family has a history. We lived here for centuries, by the church, so we can tend to the graveyard. Ah, so this abode is centuries old then. It would certainly explain the dirt. My father used to prepare bodies for burial back when he was alive. He built the coffins, and he dug the graves, and he lowered the coffins into the dirt. I do believe I remember seeing a screenshot of this game. Our protagonist was in the dirt. I know it might sound like an awful job, but someone's gotta do it. No sense of burning our eyes from death, not when it happens to the best of us. It's a noble profession, one that's been handed down in our family for generations. My father's father was a grave digger, so was my father's father's father, my father's father. Digging graves is in our blood. It's who we are. My. I do like the bone motifs on her outfit. Also surprisingly pretty speech coming from a girl who lives in the countryside. Girl who is without much in the way of education. It is apparent just to listen to her and the way she slurs her syllables together that she has never had any elocution lessons? Not like you. There is a determination, however, to her, and a pride in her genealogy, which gives her a respectable aura. You cannot help but be impressed. So you ask your hostess, does that make her one in a long line of grave diggers? Yes, your hostess, the grave digger, says. That's about right, though I never supposed to be a grave digger myself. It's not a woman's profession, that's what everyone says. My father didn't mind that, though. Got me everything he knew, and then some. I might be a woman, but I have plenty of upper strength. I can dig a grave just as well as my father could without breaking a sweat. To the spirit of my mother up in heaven, I'm sure. I'm sure if she's still alive, she'd rather focus more on feminine pursuits like basketball or sewing to better attract a suitor. Not that that would do much good now. There's nobody around to court me, not for miles and miles. And what happened to her mother? She died when I was very young, during childbirth. I was only 5 years old. Oh, well. You can relate to her at least up to this point. Your parents are not dead, at least not as far as you're aware, but you have not seen them in an awfully long time. They sent you away as soon as you were old enough, and they never once bothered to check up on you. For many years, there have been no letters, nor any visits. You offered the gravedigger your condolences. You do not know if they will help, but you feel like you cannot say nothing. That would seem harmless. The gravedigger, however, does not seem too upset by this turn of events, because she smiles, albeit somberly. It's alright, it was ages ago. I don't remember her too well, and I never really had the luxury of sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I've had too much work to do. Around the house, you ask? That, too. I was the oldest child, so it was my job after my mother died to manage sweeping and the cooking, and, looking after all my siblings, too. You blinked, intrigued, then glanced around your host's humble lodgings. You do not see any siblings in the immediate vicinity. Where could they be? The gravedigger must have noticed your rubbing eyes. You're not being exactly subtle, because she shakes your head. I had siblings. Younger brothers. They're both gone now. Oh. You should have known. You apologize to the gravedigger for your lack of tact, but she does not seem upset by this faux pas. Don't apologize. It's not your fault. My brothers weren't long for this world anyway. The youngest, he died when he was still a babe, and the oldest, he die before he reached double digits. I was upset about it at the time, of course, but I've come to terms with it. Life's a fleeting thing in this wicked old world. Something learned this trade. Digging graves, I mean. I've dug graves for the elderly and the infirm, but I've also dug graves for the young babes still in their swaddling clothes. That's the nature of death. Because for all of us in the end, no matter how old we are, no matter how much money we have, no matter how good or bad we've been. It's the great equalizer. Or so I've heard. A chill creeps down your spine as you listen to your host's speech. He's not wrong, but the inherent mortality of all humankind is not something you wish to contemplate. It is too disturbing. For the longest of times, my family was a small one. It was just my father and me, and that was fine. It was how I like it. I was very happy, even if our lives weren't the best. I've never had any fancy clothes to wear, can't dine on the finest foods. In the grand scenes, we ain't anything that special, but I've always felt otherwise. I thought that I was blessed. We knew hardship, of course, and famine, but that's just the way of the life around here. If food supplies were low, we always helped each other out. I had my father, but I also had the rest of the village. We all looked after one another, and things always worked out in the end. At least they did. Until the plague happened. Yes. She had mentioned a plague. You had been wondering when she was going to return to the topic. You suppose that the plague is the reason the village, as you reference it, was so very empty? You suppose right. The plague towards the village... I don't remember when. It feels like it was a while ago, but maybe it wasn't all that long after all. It feels like I've been on my own for centuries, but... Your hostess' eyes begin to cloud over. She looks as though she's entrenched within her own memories. What could she be remembering? You've never seen a plague before, though you have heard of them in your history lessons. Your history professor was quite enthusiastic about the subject. She talked about piles of dead bodies stacked upon the streets and stacked them up in wooden carts to come take them away with no shortage of a plume. She was a strange woman, your history professor. The plague came on very suddenly. There was no warning. One day everyone was fine, and the next, they were all dead. It is with no small amount of anxiety that you eyed the gravedigger. Then you asked worriedly, surely they could not have all died. Is that not an exaggeration? Oh, if only. I wish I was exaggerating, but it's the truth. Honest to God. The people in the village died, one after the other, just like that. I saw what the plague does to people firsthand. My father was one of the first people to caught it. I think one of the bodies which came through that we buried must have had it. Not that I know for certain, I'm still guessing, still. My father didn't have an easy time of it. His skin turned all gray and clammy, he had complained of a horrible fever, there were night sweats and stomach cramps. Then there were the boils. The boils? Pustules, they were the size of eggs, and they were full of pus. When they burst, it stunk. The whole house was full of it, the stink of death. The wise one of the village came to see if she could be of any use, but it was no good. My father was too far gone already. She took one look of him lying on his deathbed and shook her head. She said she didn't want to get any closer. I can't say I blame her. It was a ghastly sight. I didn't appreciate it at the time, though. Felt like she was turning her back on us. I wish her ill. I remember that after she had left. Until a few days passed and she fell sick too. Then I felt bad for cursing her. I couldn't help but worry if it was all my fault. It's silly, I know, but... The gravedigger closes her eyes. She seems to squeeze her lids together until her lashes melt like flecks of fallen snow. Her shoulders, which are very slender, are shaking. She looks as though she might at any moment fall apart. Wasn't long after that, the rest of the village fell ill. They all had the same symptoms as my father. Skin, the fever, and the boils. Boils grew, then they burst, then they died, and screaming, stinking agony. My father died too, only 3 days after he fell ill. But I think even that was 3 days too many. I didn't want my father to die, of course. I did everything I could to help him, but it was all pointless. None of my hurtful cells had any impact. I couldn't even make a blind bit of difference. All I did was stand by his bedside telling him it'd be alright. His eyes sank into his skull like two black stones and his mouth dried out. During that last day before he died, he might have been a corpse already. He didn't look at me. He didn't speak to me. He just laid in bed with his eyes closed, groaning. I never wished any ill on my father before, but during those moments, The grave digger squeezed her hands, which were resting upon her black-clad lap, into fists. She trembles. Then, in a voice throbbing with awful emotion, she says, "I wish he just died." Well, based on her antidote, it does not sound like she had an overly long wait. I wonder if she would consider that a silver lining. No, perhaps not. The gravedigger is still shaking. She will not cry, will she? You hope not. Awkwardly, you look at the gravedigger. You're not sure how to soothe her, but you know you must make some sort of an effort, even if it is a token one. You shift upon your chair, which feels very cold and hard beneath your eyes. Then you say very softly that you are sorry. It is not much, but it's all you can think of saying. You had thought initially that your situation was comparable to that of the gravedigger, but now you see that is not the case. Your suffering has far outstripped your own. Not that suffering is a competition, of course. That's right, it is not. Your apology feels inadequate to your ears, largely because it is, but the gravedigger seems not to mind it. She is very big-hearted, that girl, to smile at you so, no matter how foolish you might be. Do you really deserve such kindness? Oh, again with the apologies? It's alright, like you said. You didn't cause any of this, I'm not upset at all at you, I'm just recounting what happened, that's all. I do wonder, though, why I never fell sick myself. I thought I was going to die, so I already prepared for the Reaper to come and take me away. But maybe he wasn't interested. Maybe he already satiated his appetite on all the others. That, or maybe he thought he had to leave me alive for practicality's sake. With my father gone, who else would tend to the dead? I was the only person left by the end of it all, so I had buried the people in the village. All resting peacefully now under the earth where the plague can't reach them. On the one hand, I'm happy for them. They're able to escape from all their suffering. When I think about all the people I've lost, though, the gravedigger tenses. Then she sniffs. Think about the kindly washerwoman who helped me scrub the mud and dirt from my clothes. Aha, so this village did have its fair share of washerwomen after all. Seems your earlier insistence upon this particular point was not without merit. And the handsome young farmhands who used to flirt with me. The priest who preached at the church who told us wonderful tales of paradise, and the children who skip stones in the lake and play hopscotch in the streets. I can't help but feel so lonely. The gravedigger's eyes begin to shine once she has finished her address with tears, but she does not look at all. She's being very brave, much more so than you are. Anxiously, you extend a hand towards her, meaning to... what? Give her a hug? You do not know her well enough. Pat her head? That would be infantilizing. Squeeze her hand? Perhaps that could be misconstrued as a romantic overture, and that's the last thing you want. You endure more than your fair share of teasing over that. You sit there for a few moments, paralyzed by indecision, as the gravedigger poorly suppresses her snuffles. In the end, you let your arm drag back to your side, your hand rests upon your lap as useful as damp kindling. You do not know what to do with it. You do not... Well, you do know that you ought to say something, though, to show that you heard her plight and that you care. You do not know what the something should be, however. No words can ever console the gravedigger. They would never be enough. They can offer some balm, however, to the bereaved, So after a pause just long enough to be awkward, you offer your condolences. What else can you say? Oh, no. The gravedigger replies, wiping a few stray tears away from the back of her arm. It's alright. I've grown used to it, really. Being on my own, I mean, it ain't so bad, really. And I'm not alone now, at least. I met you. You'll keep me company, won't you? Well, what can you say to that? You aren't callous enough to trample this poor girl's hopes, are you? You know full well yourself how awful that feels. You can do nothing but nod, a response which makes the girl smile more widely still. That's wonderful. I know you're just a traveler who's passing through, but I can offer you bread and board until you leave. I have food enough and a spare bedroom. I can make it up for you right now. You must be tired after your long journey. Just give me a moment. The gravedigger rises to her feet in a flurry of excitement, then retreats. You watch as she departs, a little too eager to please, and frown. The girl's home is a small, humble abode with a low ceiling and slanted walls. You cannot imagine such a small dwelling possessing a spare bedroom. This so-called spare bedroom is, in all likelihood, the room her father slept in before the plague carried him off. You do not think that you would much like to spend the night in the room of dead man, but what choice do you have? You are tired, and wretchedly so. Why is it all that you can do? Why is it all you can do to keep your eyes open? While you're running through the forest, desperate to escape your pursuer, you had no thought in your mind beyond finding some safe sanctuary in which you can recuperate. Now that you have found said sanctuary, it would be unreasonable to find faults with it. You ought to learn to be more thankful for what you have. There are many, many people in the world with less. Oh, not bad. This looks great. You rise and follow the gravedigger when she has finished her preparations to her so-called spare bedroom, which is every bit as cramped as you feared it would be. At least there's a bed, which comes as something as a relief. The rest of these lodgings are so humble you were half expecting a straw. As tired as you might be, you cannot lie to yourself. You have no desire to sleep among the hay like an animal. The sheets of the bed are clean, too, a fact you discern with accuracy. Oh my god. A cursory glance. So, you will not be expected to sleep upon the sweat-soaked linen of a plague-ridden man after all. This really is your lucky day. I got you this too, the gravedigger says somewhat shyly as she hands you a folded gown. To sleep in. I thought it might come in handy. Your own clothes are, a little shabby? She can say that again. Your skirt is covered in mud and the hem is torn and ragged. This nightgown is my old one, so it suffered a bit of wear and tear, but I hope it fits alright. It's clean if nothing else. You slip the nightgown from your benefactress with words of thanks. You want to sound appropriately appreciative, but you cannot mask your fatigue. Weariness overcomes you, and you yawn. The gravedigger does not fail to notice. Oh, begging your pardon, I don't want to keep you. I'll be making myself scarce. If you need anything though, don't hesitate to ask. I'll be happy to help. The gravedigger bows her head to you like a drudge, then hurries off, closing the door behind her with a thud. Tired though as you are, you soon find that you rather miss your hostess' company. In the face of her good-natured smiles, you could almost forget all the hardships you, oh my god, hitherto endure. That might have been a typo. In her absence, however, your lodgings feel almost unbearably cold and inhospitable. You suppress a shudder and then unclothe yourself. You work as quickly as you're able to, but your fingers are cold and they fumble with the buttons of your blouse. It takes you more time than you would like to complete this endeavor, but soon you have your shirt and your skirt dispensed with. You're too tired to fold them neatly, so you do not bother to fold them at all. Instead, you cast them carelessly upon the floor, as defiant as a sulky child, then pull on your new nightgown. Your hostess' earlier warnings were apt enough. It is quite worn, but it fits well enough. It's more comfortable at least than your old uniform. You have endured worse. Nearly dressed and ready for bed, you loosen your hair from your braids and settle down among the sheets. It is with a sigh you extinguish the weakly flickering candlelight which burns on your bedside. With another sigh, you lay your head down upon your pillow. Just burned a little. Though physically exhausted, you have to wonder whether you will be able to sleep at all. You recall your previous dash of the forest in such a vivid detail your heart is still pounding. That fear has yet to leave you. Perhaps it will never leave you. Your terror was such, it almost feels as though it has soothed itself into your bones, into your very being. But your exhaustion is greater than your worldly anxieties, and soon it claims you. Your eyelids fall shut, and your breathing inevitably begins to even out. It is not long until you're spiraling to a dark, deep abyss, lost in Morpheus' kingdom. But your sleep, despite your worried state, is not as restorative as you had hoped. Your imagination has always been overactive. Even at the most conservatoire, you were frequently beset by dreams of the most vivid nature. The dreams that you have this night, laying beneath unfamiliar sheets upon an unfamiliar bed, are no less intense than usual. In your dreams, you are back at the conservatoire, the place where this adventure of yours began. You're wearing the crisp white blouse you once discarded and your gray, unremarkable skirt. Your hair is tied in braids and your eyes are downturned, forever focused upon your feet. You try not to look at your classmates, and you doubt yourself fortunate if they did not look at you in return. You did not want anybody to notice you. Until that awful winter that is, where everyone stopped paying attention to you for good. Nobody tried to trip you when you walked past in the hallways. Nobody in fact so much as glanced at you. All of a sudden, there were no malicious whispers, no wicked laughter, no pulled hair, and no thrown objects. You were giddy but relieved at first with this newfound means of tormenting you that your classmates had devised. But this little game, that of complete and utter disregard, continued on and on and on, as the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer. As the time passed, you began to fret as the own state of your own corporality. Could anybody still see you? Did you even exist at all? Then, at long last, you found it, quite by accident, the source of all your woes. One of the girls had erected in the forest, through which you were sometimes bidden to jog for PE class, beneath the shade cast by an old oak tree. It was a makeshift tombstone, a small meager monument made of stone, upon which your classmates had honed a name. Your name. You know at once as you stood there, standing beneath the shade of that ancient tree, that this was the reason behind your classmates' silence. This is why they had for many months been ignoring you so assiduously. They had buried you. In their hearts, you had already died. Oh my god. What the fuck? That's okay, that's fucking crazy. Your eerie dreams notwithstanding, you sleep more comfortably than you anticipated. When you wake the following morning to the sweet chirping of birdsong, you feel well rested, albeit woozy. Your head is aching. It is nothing, however, that a cup of hot tea cannot fix. You stumble to the kitchen in your nightclothes, your hair loose and your feet bare, and the gravedigger turns to you. Again, did we not give each other names? Did we not learn that? She looks at your face, which is pasty, and your under eyes, which are dark, and exclaims in a manner one accustomed to solving problems, not complaining about them. Oh, you look awful. I think you need something warm to drink, and maybe you need something to eat too? Let me get started on breakfast. And that is exactly what she does. She gets started on breakfast, which proves to be quite the simple affair. Nothing like the luxurious food you're accustomed to in your past life. The bread is hard enough to break your teeth on, and the cheese is a bit too strong. It is food all the same though, and you do not complain. Your stomach was beginning to grumble. The tea is inoffensive, at least, and you drink it gratefully. You thank the gravedigger girl for her hospitality, and she smiles at you in return. A sunny smile, like a field of blooming bellflowers. It's no problem. Don't hesitate to ask me if you need anything else, she says, words which come to symbolize your relationship. Wait, what? Oh, we're time traveling? You stay with the gravedigger for many, many more days, and limited though her means might be, she always tries to help you. The gravedigger sets you chores with the house to keep you occupied, a fact for which you are grateful. You need to do something to keep your mind off your frantic flight through the forest. You can almost forget about it now during the day. During the night, however, it returns to you. The sound of your feet against the foliage and the swirling fog. When you sleep, you are assailed by nightmares. Sometimes you awake after midnight, the sweets twisted around your body and your mouth gaping open in a... What? Paroxysm of terror. What are some of these words? Though you try to tell yourself otherwise, you are still afraid. Being with the gravedigger makes you feel less so, particularly when you're sweeping the floor or keeping an eye on the bread loaves so they do not burn. You tend to most of the domestic chores while the gravedigger concerns herself with work she knows best, that is, digging graves. Her dark persistence when it comes to this pursuit intrigues you. So much that you cannot help but pose a question to her on one particular morning when the sky is festooned with clouds. Is the question why she's still digging graves because no one's alive anymore, so what graves are she digging? Me and the protagonist are on the same wavelengths. Why, you ask her, perhaps a touch insensitively, do you continue to dig graves? There's nobody left after all to dig them for. You've always been practical and you cannot see the point in it. What's the point in it? Huh. The gravedigger ponders while holding her precious shovel to her chest. Fortunately, she does not seem upset by your question despite its bluntness. You should count yourself lucky your temperament is so very placid. I suppose there isn't, oh my god, I suppose there is any, I don't suppose there is any point to it really, the gravedigger eventually says with a small smile. I know it doesn't have any practical purpose, but, well, digging graves is what my father did. Showed me how to do it so I could continue his legacy. My father wanted to keep our family tradition going. And I suppose I want to do the same. That's all there is to it, really. That's all, is it? You think you can understand that. Though your companion's action might appear to be illogical, there is a kernel of reason nestled amongst them. She does not dig graves out of any sense of purpose, she does it instead out of sentiment. Besides, I have to do something to keep myself busy, don't I? If I spent all my days idling on my own, I think I go mad. The gravedigger laughs at this, as though the prospect of her own madness is amusing. Her laugh, despite her splendid nature, is not particularly delicate. It reminds you, perhaps unkindly, of the braying of a horse. You are ashamed of thinking such a thing, though, and your face flushes with the guilt of it. We cannot all be well-bred young ladies, you know. Still, the laughter of the gravedigger as it echoes through the gray, gloomy sky is strangely desperate. It sounds forced. Her smile, too, is a touch unnatural, the vicious grin of a corpse. You find, despite your attempts to return her laughter with a polite giggle, that you cannot. You cannot help but pity her. You retreat indoors briefly after your talk with the gravedigger, then set about some simple chores. The gravedigger trusts you well enough to manage sweeping the floor, a task which does not take particularly long, and preparing the meals, a task which takes slightly longer. It is not until much later, however, once the sun has already sunk beneath the horizon and the moon is high in the sky, that the gravedigger returns from the outdoors. She is windswept after many hours spent exposed to the elements, and there's dirt caked beneath her fingernails. The gravedigger removes her cloak, which she hangs by the door, and then looks at the pot suspended over the fire, a fire which she has stoked with her own fair hands. The scent of cooking food, that of garlic and onions, fills the air, suffusing the interior of the kitchen in a homey aroma which makes your stomach rumble. Taking stock of this, the gravedigger smiles at you, a toothy smile which, despite her status as a lowly peasant, is surprisingly clean and bright and white. Thank you so much, dear one. There's nothing like returning home after a hard day's work to find dinner's already prepared. Let me give it a test. The gravedigger dips a spoon in the soup and then brings it to her lips. She blows upon it. Then she places the spoon into her mouth, the wooden utensil clacking against her teeth. You observe this with a touch of anxiety. Will she like the food which you prepared her for? You have cooked for her before in the past, and she was always very complimentary of your efforts. Cooking is not your forte, however. You never had to concern yourself with it, really, growing up in a relative comfort as you did. Do you think that you can... Oh my god. Do you think that you enjoy this rural, rustic mode of existence more than you did any of the privileges of your past life? At least now with the gravedigger, you have a steadfast friend, a staunch ally. When you're with her, you are not alone. That is worth its weight in gold. The gravedigger exclaims after drawing the spoon from her lips. Her smile, a bright, guileless one, is delicious. Your face flushes at this compliment. You are unaccustomed to receiving them, and it makes you feel good. Shyly, you ask the gravedigger if she truly means that, a query which makes the gravedigger smile. Of course I mean it. You've been quite good at cooking, really. That is a relief. We're not very good at all of this cooking malarkey in the beginning. You did not know how to handle a knife, nor how to peel a vegetable, and you cut yourself more than once. I feel you. You bled into the soup on oh my god. It's you bled into the soup on several occasions, but never once did you throw the sully soup out. Okay, I feel like that's a biohazard, and also not good. The gravedigger lives a humble existence that she cannot afford to waste her precious ingredients. Your soups during your stay had all been seasoned with the slightest hint of iron. That's disgusting. No. No. Girl, the gravedigger's not a vampire. Oh my god. Oh, I can go back. Game changer. Today's soup, however, is a marked step above all the rest. You did not cut yourself with a knife even once. Now let's progress. Maybe your companion's compliments are not empty fluff. Oh my god, the soup doesn't taste like fucking bloody like it usually does. What? Maybe you really are improving. This soup should be ready to serve. I have some bread too that we can eat it with. But, oh, I should brew some tea too. Let me. I guess the tea. You knew that you were forgetting something. You're so focused on the soup, it must have slipped your mind. Your face flushes yet again at this oversight, and shyly you offer to correct it. The gravedigger, however, waves your request aside. No, it's alright. He made the dinner, so order the tea. It's only fair, and it won't take all that long. Would you mind stirring up the soup while I'm busy? Of course you would not mind. You do enjoy making yourself useful. For a lady, you are awfully domestic. You work alongside the gravedigger to finish your nightly meal, and together you serve it. Soup and bread, along 2 cups of piping hot tea, prepared by your hostess's own 2 hands. You sit together at the table, then partake in the simple fare after saying grace. Again, did we not say who we are? I'm a little concerned about that, personally. The soup really is quite good, despite it being made from the only most commonplace of ingredients. There is a bit of kick to it, and it warms you from the inside out. The tea, meanwhile, is very soothing. So much so, it makes you feel rather sleepy. Okay. You would like to slip with the gravedigger for a little while longer and tell stories, as you have sometimes in the past. That or play cards. The nights are long, and there's no better way to pass them than spending time with her. Games well made, at last will have to wait. You're too tired for it. You do not know what happened, but after consuming your victuals, you feel utterly fatigued. She did something with tea. You explain your predicament to the gravedigger between your yawns, and she nods in response. Is she also tired? That's alright, you don't need to stay with me. Not if you ain't up to it. You should off the bed and rest that pretty head of yours. This feels like a trap. You do not think you're particularly pretty, but you presume that gravedigger is just regurgitating your phrase to you. She does not truly mean it. How could she? She's far prettier than you are. You didn't the gravedigger for her understanding, then rise from the table. Shaking my head. You retreat to the spare bedroom on trembling legs and change out of your clothes. You have only just slid into your nightgown when you hear the rapping of knuckles upon your door. Light and unobtrusive. This rapping could, of course, belong to but one person. Does the gravedigger come to check up on you? I'm sorry, the gravedigger says, her voice soft, but you rushed to your room so soon after eating, I couldn't help but worry about you. Would you mind if I took a look at you? I just want to see if you're alright. Okay, putting on my theory hat real quick. Hold on. Do I still have my tinfoil hat? Alright, tinfoil hat time. The gravedigger killed everyone in the village. Murdered everyone in the village. I don't think it does not make any sense to be continually digging graves if there's no bodies, unless she's preparing for any travelers to come through to kill them. She's a serial killer. Alright, temple that off. The gravedigger is trying to keep her voice steady, but you can hear it wavering regardless. She really does sound concerned. So much so she could be very well on the brink of tears. You do not want to hear her cry for you. You feel horribly guilty you've upset her, even overtly, given all that she's done for you. You bid the gravedigger enter into your room, therefore without further delay, an invitation she hastens to take. The door swings inward with a creak, and there your hostess stands, still attired in her black, her clothes a stark contrast to your pure white, well, off-white nightgown. The gravedigger looks at you, seated in your bed with hair free from your usual braids, and exhales. Is that relief you wonder playing on her face? But why? What was she expecting to see exactly before entering your bedchamber? Thanks for letting me in, the gravedigger says, toying with her fingers. How do you feel? Not too terrible, you reassure her. There are no particular problems with your health, you just feel tired. Are you sure you're not sick? Your face does look a bit pale. That would be nothing out of the norm. You are always pale. True. Now, is there anything I can do for you? Would you like something warm to drink, or maybe a hot brick to place in your bed? It should keep you warm. Oh wait, does she think I'm being sick? Sus. You appreciate your host's thoughtfulness, but you reassure her that this won't be necessary. You will be fine. I hope so. I thought about my father, too, before the gravedigger begins, but her voice soon trails off. She does not finish that thought. She does not need to. You know now what she was thinking of before she entered your bedroom. Cold, clammy skin, a sweating brow, rank oozing pustules. You think upon these symptoms, which are eerily similar to those recounted during the Great Plague, which once beset your own country, and you shudder. If you don't want anything, then I'll be on my way, the gravedigger says, but before that, this was just a fancy on my part, but I was wondering, would you mind if I brush your hair for a little while? Your hair? That's right, it's such a pretty shade of red is all I just thought. Well, it's just a fancy really. You don't have to let me, not if you don't want to, but I thought it might help you relax if you're feeling under the weather. I've heard it's supposed to be soothing. That is what the gravedigger says, but you have a distinct feeling that she's the one looking for solace here. She's not quite so selfish, perhaps, as she would like you to think. But she has been so very good to you and has done so very much for you that you don't want to begrudge her this small self-indulgence. You rather think she deserves it. You agree, therefore, to her request, and upon doing so, you are certain you have made the right choice. Your host's face lights up immediately in a manner which makes you blush. Oh, thank you, it'd be my honor. Now let me fetch my brush. The gravedigger retreats from your room in a hurry, but returns soon thereafter, holding in her right hand the promised brush. This artifact acquired, the gravedigger then settles upon herself upon your bed by your side. She looks at your hair for a few moments, her expression pensive. Then she announces that she will begin. The gravedigger leans in. The wooden frame of the bed creaks under her weight. Her creatures melts with the sighing of the breeze outdoors. You can feel the bristles of the brush running through your hair. It is soothing enough, so much makes you shiver. The sensation is a pleasant one, and somewhat nostalgic. Did your mother do this for you, you wonder, when you were a little girl? She did. It must have been when you were a very little girl. You have not seen your mother in quite some time, not after you enrolled at the conservatoire. Oh, you have such lovely hair, dear one. It's soft and just like silk. Not at all like mine. Mine is so coarse. This gentle voice draws you out of your vague, half-formed reminiscence. It sounds as though the gravedigger is lost in nostalgia of her own, because her voice when next she speaks is dreamy. I think my mother used to brush my hair like this for me back when she was still alive. That must have been a long time ago, though. It is funny you think as the bristles of the brush continue to slide through your tresses, that you and the gravedigger should both be reminiscing in tandem about your respective mothers. Perhaps there is something maternal in the act of brushing one's hair, which is wont to the summoning forth such images. I would not know personally. I cannot remember my own mother at all. I don't think I like having my hair brushed very much, the gravedigger continues, her breath warm against the exposed nape of her neck. My mother used to complain that I squirmed too much. I can remember that. She always told me to sit still, though it was my fault I squirmed. She used too much force. Now this is curious. It sounds as though the reminiscences of the gravedigger are not particularly fond at all. Did she not get along well with her mother? I can't rightly say, the gravedigger replies in a somber sort of voice. I was young, like I said, when she died. I don't really remember her too well. But I don't think she ever had that much time for me. She was too busy with all the cooking and the cleaning and looking after my baby brothers. But she had enough, despite that, to brush her hair. She did what she felt like she had to make me look presentable. Not that it really worked. I wasn't like the other girls in the village, you see, who like to sit indoors with their mothers and sew. I always loved the outdoors. I wasn't like other girls, actually. I like digging graves. Hydrating goods. Ooh. Right. My father said I inherited that from him. Ruefully, the gravedigger smiled, not that you can see, but turned back facing her. My mother said I wasn't very, well, maidenly. She didn't like that I was always trapeze around outside after my father watching as he dug graves. She said it wasn't appropriate, like I was some sort of princess wearing a fine dress. The gravedigger snorts. I used to get a bit muddy, yes. Maybe I did get burrs in my clothes and knots in my hair, but it shouldn't have mattered. It's not like I ever had hopes of marrying a prince, no matter what my mother said. But still, she hoped. She had a lot of hopes. My mother. High hopes. I think she might have resented my father, maybe for working such a menial job. Our profession is an honest one, but it never made much money. I think my mother was hoping for fine jewels and dresses and... oh, I don't know. She always had ideas. Her head was full of fairy tales. It was a shame, I suppose, that her reality did not match up what she wanted. I didn't match up to what she wanted. The bitterness in your friend's voice is unmistakable. So much so, you want to console her. What'd you say to her, though? You never met your companion's mother. You never will, either. Her cold, inert body has been laying in the graveyard beneath the tombstone for over a decade. You have no way of ascertaining whether your companion's mother truly cared for her. You do have intelligence enough, however, to understand that poorly thought-out condolences can cause more harm than good. You would not like it if people try to reassure you that of course your father loved you, really. If he loved you, then why did he send you away from home? Why did he never send you any letters? You know he was worried about his finances, but that is a poor excuse to pretend that his only daughter does not exist. As for your mother, meanwhile, she was nice. At least you think she was. She was woefully ineffectual. Though she was nominally an adult, she was cleared before your father's judgment. You think that she was afraid of him. You do not try to tell the gravedigger, therefore, that her mother loved her, that she must have done, else she would not have given birth to her. Instead, you sit there letting the brush run through your hair, and you say quietly that you understand. Sometimes you feel like a disappointment yourself. Well, the gravedigger says after a pause, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I guess that happens to all of us. You guess so. Parents are only people after all. While one would hope one's parents would be kind and attentive, they too can fall victim to the caprices of their own. Just because one has brought a child into this world, it does not mean one will be able to take care of it properly. Not all parents are responsible, just as not all people are responsible. It is a painful subject. Oh well, it's alright if my mother never liked me, or even if she never loved me. I know my father did, and that's all that matters. He was always there for me, no matter what. Your companion's voice catches in her throat. She winces. At least, until he wasn't. He died, and I didn't do a thing to help him. Your companion's shoulders are beginning to shake. You still cannot see her, but you can feel her body convulsing. You can sense her loneliness rolling off her in waves. It is all-consuming like the waters of a deep, dark ocean. Grief anew pierces your heart, not on your behalf, but for the sake of your benefactress. She does not deserve to suffer so much. This you have no qualms with telling her. You turn to face her and pluck the brush, which has been hovering in the air, a nerve from her fingers. Then you let her know that her father's death was not her fault. What could she have done? She could not have cured his illness. I know, but I can't help but think, what if? I kept racking my brain over and over, trying to come up with something. But I can't think of anything. And if I could, it's too late. He's already dead. He's dead and buried. I buried him, and now I'm all alone. She might have been alone, you tell the gravedigger, but she isn't now. Not anymore. How can she be when you are here? I know that. I know, and I'm grateful, but I don't know if I deserve it. Why would she not deserve your company? You do not understand. Because I couldn't do nothing for nobody. My father's always looked out for me when I was a little girl, but when he needed me the most, I failed him. I failed everyone. All the villagers, all my friends, all died. What I do if the same thing happened to you? I don't think I could bear it. I don't want you getting sick too, not when I care about you so much. I thought I got used to being on my own, but now that you're here, it's making me worry all over again. I've been worrying so much I can't sleep from it. I'm scared. Her companion's voice catches in her throat. Then she collapses in on herself. She leans forward, her arms around her middle, as if to steady herself, and she cries. She cries and she cries and she cries. For a few moments you look at the gravedigger, unsure of what to do. Her pale face, streaked with silvery tears, seem to flicker in the candlelight. Her shoulders, which seem too slender to bear the accumulative weight of all the sorrow she has endured, are shaking. Your fatigue continues to cling to you, as insistent as the fog which rolls amongst the tombstones in the graveyard at night. You are not so very tired, however, you cannot offer your hostess some comfort. You do not know what to say to console her. You feel too weary to think of pretty sophisms, but there is something you can think of. You would not typically be so bold, of course, but you are tired enough for once to throw caution to the wind. That and the tears of the gravedigger are awfully arresting. You open your arms, and before the gravedigger can pass comment, you pull her to your chest. Oh. Oh. A self-exclamation escapes the lip of the gravedigger quieter than the sound of wintry snow as it brushes the ground. Then there is nothing. The gravedigger stiffens your arms for a few moments, like the corpse she and her father used to steal away in their wooden coffins. She has all wide eyes and awkward, pointed elbows, tears still coursing down her pale cheeks. You worry briefly as you hold her that you have perhaps made a mistake. Were your attempts at consoling her too clumsy? You would not know. You have never been in a situation like this before. You have never consoled any friends before because you had never had any friends to console. It is not so now, however. You are as far away from your old life as it is possible to be, and the gravedigger does not curse you for your impudence. Neither does she try to squirm away from you. Instead, she sits there, still as a statue, cradled in your arms. Oh, I'm very sorry to show you something so embarrassing. It's just, I get so lonely sometimes. Until at long last, with a breathy sob, she lets the full weight of her body fall against yours. You run her hands against your sobbing companion's shoulder, blades, and her back, and gently you soothe her. You tell her that she does not need to apologize. There's no shame in crying. You hug her for many, many minutes while she sobs against your chest, weighing the front of your nightgown. No further words pass between you that night, but they do not need to. Words are irrelevant in a moment as tender as this, shared between two souls who have come to understand one another through mutual loneliness. Oh. You slide beneath the sheets, you still feel exhausted, and the gravedigger joins you without asking for permission. It would be an unnecessary piece of politeness, really, given your acceptance is all but assured. You have already accepted the gravedigger, after all, every single inch of her. You accepted her hospitality, you have accepted her food. Now you're accepting her company. You arrange yourself beneath the sheets, then draw her body to yours. The gravedigger has not yet changed into her nightwear. Her clothes will be horribly rumpled when she awakes come the following morning, her head resting against your chest. But tomorrow has ceased to matter. It no longer exists. There's no constant time between the two of you, no thought of the day which will dawn once this night inevitably ends. Instead, there is only the warmth shared between you, the wetness of the cheeks of the gravedigger. There is a sound, irregular now, and less intense than before, of your companion's muted, muffled sobs. There is this gentle, tender moment snatched in the midst of a deep, dark night, which can never be replaced. Your eyelids feel heavy, as though weighted down with stones. They droop exorbitantly downwards, pulling you like a drowning maiden into the dark, impenetrable abyss of slumber. You yawn. Then you fall asleep, cozied up beside the gravedigger like two cats in a basket. You sleep, and you sleep, and you sleep, more deeply than you have allowed yourself in quite some time. Fucking knew it. Unless. But when you awake, you find yourself no longer in the bed upon which you sleep in, surrounded by sheets. The gravedigger, too, is nowhere to be seen. Wait, that's my thumbnail! Instead, you are quite alone, lying by yourself in the dark. You blink, but your surroundings do not become any clearer. It's the middle of the night. Perhaps you were aroused by your slumber by the desire to relieve yourself, or else to slake your thirst? Your sleep has been awfully disordered as of late. The smallest of noises has been enough to disturb you. That does not sound quite right, though. You slept well, of that you are certain. Your body feels invigorated, as though it slumbered for hours and hours. How many hours? You do not know. You do not know much of anything. You feel a strange pinching sensation around your chest, however, around your arms. It would appear as though somebody, but who else could have been save the gravedigger, changed your attire while you were sleeping. That is certainly odd, but the darkness which entombs you is even more so. The darkness which surrounds you is unsettlingly complete. It is so thick you cannot penetrate it. Your newfound woes do not stop, however, at this deep, unnatural darkness. It is cold, too, and you're laying upon something hard. Some sort of stone slab? What is going on? You reach out, but your movements are soon stymied. There's something heavily lying on top of you, something that is limiting your movements. You were anxious before upon waking, but at this discovery, you feel downright aggrieved. Save. A sharp prong of panic pierces you, but you try to suppress it. Hysterics will get you nowhere. In most cases, they only tend to make bad situations worse. You got to know that already. You swallow your mounting dread as best you can, though it is coming on thick and fast, and try to squirm. You move your arms outward, but they do not get very far. There's a wall above you, and walls on either side of you. Walls which do not budge no matter how hard you push. Now I must add that you can push particularly hard, your anxious state notwithstanding. You never have much in the way of other body strength, nor lower body strength. You do not have much in the way of strength at all. You feel quite helpless as you lie there, out of breath from your meager exertions, unsure of what to do. You can hardly see a foot in front of your face. You You do not know where you are, nor why, but a terrible premonition is beginning to bear upon you, one which initially you try to discard. You did not want to accept it as a possibility. Where else could the truth lie? You are lying in a box, hemmed in by walls which only offer a scant few inches for you to stretch in any direction. Where else could you be but a coffin? The moment you allow yourself to ponder this awful reality is the moment you hear it. The irregular sound of drumming. It is as though somebody, though they must be a very large somebody, is tapping their fingers upon the lid of your coffin. That or it is raining. It's not the fingers of a giantess, though, which is disturbing you, nor is the falling rain. Oh, am I currently right now being buried? It is dirt. The sound continues on as if it's drilling its way inside your skull. It is relentless. It is merciless. It's the ticking of a great celestial clock. It cannot be stopped. Our time is almost running out. But you knew that already, didn't you, when you were running through the forest? You ought to have known, silly thing, that you cannot outpace your destiny forever. Sooner or later, it would catch up with you. You are stubborn, though, and you do not want to accept this. Not content to sleepily lie here, you cry out. Cry out not for your parents, whom you hardly knew, nor for your school friends, for you never had any. Instead, you cry out for your new companion, the girl who you have been living with, and whom you have shared one precious, cherished moment. You cry out for the gravedigger. Surely this is some manner of mistake? When she realizes that you are in fact entombed in one of the coffins she is currently filling for what will be moving the dirt above you, she will cease her operations at once. She will pull you out of the darkness back to the world of the living, and she will hold you close. She will embrace you. She cannot mean to cause you any harm, not when she was so good to you and so kind. How will she bury you? Cry to her so loudly you fear your vocal cords might tear, all while banging against the roof of your compact prison. You cry desperately, helplessly, and to your relief, your cries do not fall upon deaf ears. The sound of falling soil stops, albeit briefly. Then you hear a voice. The voice is very faint given it's being filtered through your coffin's sturdy lid, but you recognize it. So you're awake then, are you, dear one? The gravedigger says. She sighs. Then she says in a perplexed sort of voice, now that is a pickle. I was hoping you'd be asleep a couple more hours more, so the last time we spoke could have been on better terms. If you keep screaming like that, I'm gonna feel bad. Your companion's words, though distant, are unmistakable. You are so tense you are attuned to every single syllable, and each of them make you gasp. Was this not a mistake then? Does she truly mean to bury you alive? You pose this question to the gravedigger as best you can, trying to keep the tremors from your voice as you do. Perhaps you think in your optimism that if you do not let her know how afraid you are, she'll reward you for your bravery and let you go. If this is what you are hoping, though, it is in vain. That's right, you really do catch on quick. So it appears she really has committed the task of burying you. What an unfortunate turn of events. Why though would she do such a thing? I thought that she was your friend. We are friends, the gravedigger says, her voice still worryingly offhand, worryingly empty. I'm very fond of you. There's no one dearer to me than you. I had a really good time with you these last... How long has it been again? I don't remember. Neither do you. Well, if this little detail has slipped both your minds, it can't be all that important. You have other things to worry about. If you really are friends, you say to the gravedigger, then what does she hope to gain by burying you? Do not understand. We understand her reply even less. Well, here's the thing, the gravedigger says in a reasonable sort of voice, as though burying someone alive could ever be thought as a very reasonable action. I've been digging graves for a long time, see? You cannot see, it is too dark, but you affirm that you do all the same. Well, I was digging all these graves, but I had no one to put them in, not for ages. It was rather sad. You think you know where the train of logic, twisted though it is, might be going, so you do not interrupt her. You know no good will come of it. All you can do for the present is lie there and listen. I was thinking I'd never find another person buried in this godforsaken village, not after the plague messed everything up. I was getting desperate. So you came along, that is. Now that I have someone I can bury, how could I let the opportunity pass me by? I'm sorry, but this is just part of my job. What my father has taught me to do. It's all I know how to do. I buried my mother, I buried my father, I buried all my friends. Now I'm gonna bury you too. It is sound logic in the sense as a daughter of a gravedigger, digging graves is their job, but something about her wrinkles you. I think you can put your finger on it. Ah yes. There's a bit of a flaw with the reasoning, is there not? You are not dead after all. You might not be dead now, the gravedigger says in response to your ingenuity, but you will be, if given enough time. I mean, everyone I've ever known died. Just say you won't be the next. Seems rather more likely that you will die, and quickly, if she persists with her poorly thought out plan to bury you. Her coffin is not very large, it affords you precious little space. Eventually, if trapped within it for long enough, you will run out of oxygen, then you will suffocate. That, or you will starve to death. Either way, your demise will be a slow and painful one. You are unsure which death will be worse, though, given how precarious your situation is, you do not wish to expend necessary energy needed to ponder it. Fucking knew it. Never doubt the tinfoil hat theory. You don't play with the gravedigger and quickly while she's still here. You tell her tearfully that you would not leave her, why would you? You try to sound as convincing as your disordered nerves will allow, but the gravedigger remains unmoved. You say that, she says, but how can I know you're telling the truth? I thought you said you were a traveler. I never stay put in one place for long. You get sick of me before long, then you leave me. This way, at least, I can assure you that we'll always stay together. If I bury you like I did the others, we'll never be far apart. I even took care to put you in a nice spot close to my home so you're only a stone throws away, really. Isn't that nice? Privately, you think that the gravedigger has a different conception of the word nice to you. You do not say this, however. You cannot say much of anything because the panic has begun to set in. It is choking you, stopping up your throat so you can only cry. You scream. You beg and you plead, but it does little good. Gravedigger has already buried her mother. She's already buried her little brothers. She's even buried her father, whom she loved above all else. She thinks by burying you, she's doing onto you an act of great kindness. You think she's going to kill you. In a sense, you are both right. Your opinions are diametrically opposed on this matter, however, that you will never be able to find any common ground. Might as well save her screaming, she will not listen to you. It's beyond listening. Shush, shush, dear one, she says the gravedigger very gently. Just as gently as she spoke last night, when she confided in you all of her fears. It won't be so bad, really. Nothing will be able to hurt you down there. It'll just be like going to sleep for a really long time. You can rest, and while you rest, I'll tend to you. I'll plant flowers in your grave. You'll like that, wouldn't you? This way, we can always be together. And I'll never be lonely again. While the gravedigger speaks, she piles even more soil upon the roof of her coffin. The sounds of dirt on top of you, on your arms, your legs, and your head conceal your companion's final words. You cannot hear her. You cannot hear anything but the sounds of the dirt, and the scraping of the shovel, and your own desperate, frantic screams. You scream and you scream and you scream without cease until your throat feels hoarse, but your efforts are in vain. You hammer the lid of the coffin with as much strength as you can muster. The lid of the coffin is nailed shut. You are in no position to remove it. All you can do is lie there screaming and crying and banging your fists on the roof of the coffin over and over as more dirt and debris falls on top of you. Eventually, enough dirt falls on you to stifle your screams for good. The gravedigger can no longer hear you, and can no longer hear her. You're all alone, trapped in a narrow box, which, regardless of what you want, is now your new home. You smell the soil on the backs of your nostrils when you inhale. It is so potent you can taste it on your tongue. You taste the eventual inevitable decay of your own body. You will remain trapped here underground forever and ever. Or to use less melodramatic terms, until the last of your energy escapes you and you succumb to your own slow suffocation. It isn't a very pleasant way to go. But you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow. In your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your ultimately untimely demise. Now, what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace? Or will you try to fight against it? Fight against it. Are you not happy with the hand the fate has dealt you? Very well, I cannot blame you. It is quite a grim ending. I would not wish it upon my worst enemy, and you are rather dearer to me than that. Now, why don't we give this another go? I don't have to be buried alive this time. I can only endure so much of your screaming. Your fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Ew, interesting. Alright, we shall go to the shore. We'll do Castle last, because Castle seems cool. So, you want to go to the shore? Good idea. What will we discover there, I wonder? The night is far from over, and there are any number of adventures still awaiting you. I hope that you prepare yourself in advance, and I do hope for your sake you learn how to swim. Okay, yep. I have a sneaking suspicion that this skill might come in handy. Say that. Okay. You follow the path which leads to the shore, supporting yourself on weary, aching limbs which feel ready to snap at the knee beneath the burden of your weight. You're little more than a wisp of a girl, but you have been running for so very long, and your feet are so very numb, and you feel like a great lumbering thing. You need to lie down, and quickly. You only hope as you continue to run that you will find a means to escape your current predicament by the shore. You do not know what awaits you, but you have visions of a harbor extending out to the horizon, cradling the fleet of white-sailed fishing vessels. Surely there'll be a kindly fisherman who will be willing to take you far, far away in his boat, to a place where your pursuer will not be able to find you. You can imagine, too, the face of this kindly fisherman, a face you have lifted from the fairy tales you read in abundance as a small child. He will have thick, bushy eyebrows and a dark beard streaked through with gray. He will look intimidating at a glance, but he'll be fiercely protective of you, just like a father. You do not know what fathers are supposed to be like. You are only imagining. It is your imagination, however, which grants you the strength needed to keep going. You run to the shore. It takes some time, but you finally emerge from the woods, but finally you do it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. Did I not say that time has begun to lose all its meaning? The forest is behind you now, at least, and all those awful nightmares lurk within it. It's still cold, though, and still foggy. It is still dark, too. The sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. The moonlight shines down upon the vertiginous cliffs which plummet sharply down to an array of sharp, spiky rocks below. You felt upon escaping the woods a degree of hope, but the sight of those weather-blasted cliffs give you pause. You inhale. Then you frown. What are you to do? You do not think this plan of yours through very well. Not that you have much in the way of a plan in the first place. There's little in the way of civilization here. The cliffs are far from the village? How far? You do not know, and you cannot see any houses. Where exactly will you rest your weary head, and what of your weary legs? Fitfully you look around. There's nobody to your east, nor is there anybody to your west. There's no point in looking south, that is the way you came, and when you look north, the world falls away from you. The cliffs are too steep to scale, and it is too dark. Naturally, there is not a soul here to help you. You're on your own. You feel so overwhelmed you could very well cry. You do not cry, however. You know that tears have never helped anyone. You got yourself into this mess. Now you need to get yourself out of it. It is with this thought in mind that you inhale a lungful of salty oceanic air. Then you begin exploration in earnest. You keep away from the edge of the cliffs, afraid that you might slip and take a sudden, unfortunate tumble into the abyss below. You are not as attached to your mortal body as some humans are, but you do not want to die. You still care for yourself, if only a little. And it is this sense of self-preservation which compels you onwards. You glance this way and that, depressing the tall grass beneath your shoes, as you search for a place of shelter. Surely there must be somewhere. You cannot see any likely linked settlements, but what is that over yonder? Could that be a roof? You hurry onwards, hope budding anew in your heart until at long last you reach your destination. There's a house after all, out here in the wilds, though it doesn't at a glance look very welcoming. The solitary house that you discover, not so far from the cliffs, is rather unremarkable. It is so small and squat you cannot imagine it contains within it more than one floor. You cannot even imagine that it contains much more than one room. Though it is dark, it is not dark enough to mask that the cottage has something of a slant to it. It is leaning listlessly to one side like a drunken sailor. That roof, meanwhile, which tops its dwelling, has certainly seen better days. There is a hole in the thatch, several holes in fact, and parts of it looks particularly bared, almost bald. That is rather concerning. Should it rain, he will not be properly protected from the elements. Can you really stay the night in such a place? You have some misgivings. But do your misgivings matter, really, when there's nowhere else to go? It's not as though you have any other options. It is with a sense of defeat, therefore, that you approach the cottage which sticks out of the earth like a tombstone. Part of you wants to turn back, but you know that will be foolish. The windows of the cottage are dark, but that does not necessarily mean it is empty. It is rather late at night, after all. Whoever lives here is indeed, anybody does live here, might be asleep. You cannot imagine the owners of this cottage would appreciate being roused so very late at night. Do not let yourself worry too much about these small details, however. Otherwise, you will never get anywhere. You swallow. The taste of the salty sea breeze is pungent in the back of your nostrils. Then you wrap the knuckles of your right fists on the door. You act quietly at first, but you do not hear any restless shuffling inside the cottage. You did not use enough strength? Emboldened, you rap your knuckles on the door for a second time, more loudly this time. Wait a few moments, but still you cannot hear anything. Perhaps the cottage is unoccupied after all. You knock for a third time, then wait. Third time is as they say the charm, but for all that, your knocking goes unanswered. Well, nobody can say that you did not try. More intrigued and anxious, your fingers find the handle of the door. You pull it down, and to your surprise, it yields easily. The door swings back for you as if by magic. It feels as almost this was preordained. You step inside the cottage, which is very dark, and glance around. It is hard to see given the lateness of the hour, but the cottage's interior is about as inspiring as the exterior. Which to say, not very. It is very bit as small and as cramped as you fancied when you observed it from the outside. There are a few cupboards which line the walls, and a wood fire which has since been extinguished, and a straw pallet on the floor which might as function as a bed. Your search is unsuccessful, however, when it comes to trying to locate other humans. You cannot find another soul. Surely that is to your benefit, though? If nobody else lives here, then you might as well make yourself at home. Whereas, home as one can't be, I suppose, in a small, cramped cottage such as this with holes in the roof. You close the door behind you and approach the small pallet. All of a sudden, you feel incredibly weary. The tiredness that assails your limbs is absolute, so intense it overcomes the last of your concerns. You settle down upon the straw pallet, yawning as you do. It is not comfortable, but being able to lie down eases some of your aches and pains. Lying down, even on an uncomfortable makeshift bed such as this one, is better than standing. It is far, far better than running. Your eyelids fall shut and your lashes melting together. So, soothed by the sounds of the wind and the distant rolling of the waves, you fall asleep. And then you begin to dream. It is not uncommon, of course, to dream. The best and the worst of us do it, from queens in their castles to peasants sleeping into the straw. Why, who is it to say that all you have observed tonight has not, in a sense, have been a dream of its own? Would that make your nighttime fancies then, as the— oh my god. Would that make your nighttime fancies then a dream inside a dream? Perhaps our dreams are empty, hollow things stacked inside one another, like little wooden dolls. Is that not a whimsical thought? How very droll. Your dreams, however, cannot be called whimsical, and neither are they particularly droll. They are not pure fabrications, as dreams sometimes are, fleeting fancies which can never come to pass. Your dreams are a rather pernicious sort. In your dreams, you're oh my god, fucking word. In your dreams, you're at the conservatoire with your red hair tied back in two prim proper braids. I want to point out, the red hair is pink. I know my colors. You're walking to the courtyard, clutching your books to your chest as you make your way to the library. Your head is bowed as to not look at the faces of your passing classmates. You do not want to meet their eyes. These girls with their sensible braids and their sensible shoes are merciless. You hunt your shoulders together in this dream of yours so as not to draw attention, but alas, it is not enough. You stumble, clumsy thing that you are, and you fall, and just like that, all eyes are upon you. They are staring at you. They are laughing at you. You lay there on the ground by the fountain, your books scattered, and your skirt in a woeful state of disarray. Your knee hurts. Is it bleeding? You examine your injured leg, try not to cry, and as this transpires, you hear a voice. One of your classmates is calling out to you. She has acknowledged you. You look up shyly, tears beating in your eyes at a girl taller than you and prettier and much more refined. She stands her hand towards you. Does she mean to help you? It cannot hurt to try, can it? Hesitantly, you reach out to accept her offered aid. Her fingers curl around yours tightly, perhaps too tightly. Her nails dig into your skin. It hurts. Deftly, the girl pulls you up to your feet. Your legs feel weak from their fall, and your knees are still aching, still bleeding. You stumble, feeling out of sorts, but you're not afforded much of an opportunity to gather your bearings. The girl's hands are on your shoulders. She is laughing at you. Then she is pushing you. The sound of the fountain and the running water which drums against this basin is all of a sudden very loud. It is overwhelming. It surrounds you. Then it engulfs you. It is cold as ice. You cannot breathe. The rushing of the water continues, echoing in your eardrums over and over, and then... No. You do not want to remember this. What good will it do? It is in the past, where the past ought to remain. You are never going to go back, not even in your dreams. It is this determination which forces you back into the world of waking with a start. You gasp like a fish as you sit upright, your eyes unnaturally wide. You feel weary from lack of sleep, and with half-lidded eyes, you glance about. It is still dark outside. Oh my god. It is still dark inside your cottage, the sky visible from beyond the window splashed still with stars. How long were you asleep? You're not sure. Your dream was so very detailed, it really did feel like you had been transported into a different time, into a different place. When you inhale, you taste rank, fetid water in your mouth. Tentatively, you pat yourself down, your fingers trailing against the front of your uniform. So vivid was your dream, you have expected to find your clothes are damp. This is not the case, however. You are, in fact, perfectly dry. Well, now what are you to do? Will you go back to sleep? That sounds like the best option available to you. You are very tired, but your senses feel too overwrought all of a sudden for sleep. You do not think you could bear it. On unsteady legs, you rest your feet and stand by the window. You look out to the starry sky and to the pitted moon which hangs amongst them, and you frown. You can hear the wind outdoors howling like an injured animal, and more softly the ebb and flow of the waves as they meet the cliffs. That is not all. What is that sound? Why, it is almost like singing. The voice is far away enough that you cannot pick out any individual words, nor even the individual syllables, but there is a haunting quality to it all. The singer, however, whoever they are, possesses quite the pretty voice, high and clear like a bell. Oh my god, Aaron. The song is a melancholy one which stirs your heart. Curiosity takes root inside you as it did during that fateful day you found that book in the library. Logically, you know you should not go outdoors so that's singing, but emotionally, that is another matter together. You really should have learned your lesson by now. You really should know better than go sticking your nose into business that does not concern you. But naughty little girls such as you never do learn. Cross the old fisherman's cottage as though in a dream, then reach for the handle of the door. The handle depresses easily enough between your grasping fingers, and the door opens with a click. The rest of the world yawns before you, framed in the doorway, all of it bathed in moonlight. Though it was cold inside the old cottage, but it's colder now the door is open. An unpleasant wind rushes forth to meet you, knifing mercilessly through the fabric of your uniform. You look across the cold and hospitable landscape, your fingers clutched in fists at your sides. Then you step out into the unknown. You canvass the cliff face, led by nothing more than the luxurious singing. So haunting and ethereal is this voice, as it hangs in the breeze, it would be enough to send 1,000 ships off to war. You keep walking to the night until you reach the very edge of the cliffs, where they drop downwards into empty air. You ought not to go any further, but the voice has yet to cease. You can still hear it echoing inside your head. It compels you to act. You look down at the shore, which seems like a dizzying distance away, then out to the ocean, which is breaking against the scattered rocks below. Your eyes narrow to determination. Then you take one step towards the cliff. These cliffs are steep and the rocks below them are sharp. You can see them glinting in the darkness, their tips jagged with the teeth of hungry predators. Cold wind blows, rocking your hair, and you shudder from it. Your shoes were not built for scaling cliffs, and your heels do not have much of the weight or purchase, particularly not when the cliffs are so steep. Clinging to the walls is no small feat, yet you are determined to ease yourself down onto the shore in one piece preferably. The wind is so powerful, it feels as though there is something deliberately malicious to it. You wonder during your descent if it means to knock off your perch on purpose, to cast you down to the rocks below. Well, that's what it wants, then you refuse to give it the satisfaction. You can be awfully stubborn at times, and that was one of them. You continue to climb. How long have you been at it till now? Until at long last, your feet meet the shoreline below. Damn, okay. You have made it, and you do not sustain too many injuries. Your palms are throbbing, yes, after gripping those rocks, and you might have a few cuts, but your wounds are of a shallow and superficial sort. Things could have been worse. Yeah, you could have fucking died. You flex your fingers, they feel uncomfortably numb and cold alongside it. Your skin is prickly, but at least you can still feel discomfort. At least it is still attached to your bones, where it ought to be. Your vital organs concealed with the hollow cavity of your body. You have a lot to be thankful for. This night has, by and large, been quite successful. There are no longer any obstacles between you and the mysterious voice which lulled you outdoors. Now you must find them. You set off down the shore on the hunt of the singing voice which has captivated you so. You sidestep sharp, jagged rocks which jut out the sand like teeth. The rocks which cannot be circumnavigated, meanwhile you clamber over. All the while, the sound of the sea mingles with that of the singing. It provides an ethereal, haunting backdrop to your exploration, one which further adds the surreality of your moonlight stroll. The waves lap against the shore, then recede shyly, pushed and pulled by the bleached white moon which hangs overhead. That's the sunset. The ocean sights you have seen in your library books, which are all blue as sapphires, but this ocean is different. It is so late at night, it looks black instead. The undulating surface of the water reminds you of a mirror, though its depths are even deeper and much more mysterious. A sense of foreboding settles upon you, but you try to quash it. You will not let yourself be afraid. Chuck's back here. Around a corner, your feet unsteady in their sensible brown shoes, and that at long last you see her. There is a woman sitting upon a rock out in the ocean. The woman's eyes are closed and her lips are parted, her expression soulful. She is singing. Her hair, which is fair, flutters around her face like a shroud, which adds to her otherworldly aura. Her eyes might be closed, but her lashes are long and luxuriant like a doll's. Her lips, meanwhile, which are parted in song, are soft like the freshly plucked petals of a flower. Her face is perfect, as are her proportions. Her neck is tall and slender like a stem of a flower. As for the lower half of her body, meanwhile, well, it is nothing like you've ever seen before. It is here and here alone that the woman betrays your narrow human definition's beauty, for her legs are non-existent. Rather, the two awkward appendages this woman has instead the sleek, shimmering tail of a fish. Is she not then a human? She cannot be not with a tail like that. This unusual sight makes you gasp, and quite audibly at that. You do not mean to be rude, but you cannot help. You cannot help yourself. Humans tend to react poorly to things they do not understand. At least you do not scream. That would be even ruder. Oh my! You meant to observe the mermaid from a distance, but it would appear that your soft gasp was loud enough to attract her attention. The fishtail vision sitting upon the rock is looking at you. Her gaze is so piercing, it feels as almost as she's looking through you. Your heart seems to stop inside your chest, as if by some manner of magical spell. You thought the mermaid pretty when you first observed her, sitting on that outcrop of rock, her face turned in profile. Now she's looking at you, however you can see that you were mistaken. She's not just pretty. She's beautiful. So much so, it is almost unnerving. She looks as though she stepped out of the pages of a picture book. She's simply too perfect to belong to this world. Perhaps she's some kind of vision, a waking dream, a hallucination? But no, she's none of those things. Her tail might be an impossible thing, but its scales look slick and wet regardless, like those of any fishes one might find at the market. The scales are iridescent, and bathed beneath the light of the moon, they almost seem to glow. The sight of her rather takes your breath away. Look at the mermaid. She looks back at you. Prepare yourself, expecting some sort of altercation. Surprise soon fades from the mermaid's face. Her lips, which were once pursed and around, now shifts upwards. She's smiling. Then she says in a refined sort of voice, My, it really is good to see a human again. Particularly a human girl. I was beginning to fear that your kind had all disappeared, and I would no longer have anyone left to tell me the world about the waters. Fine, that's quite an effusive greeting. The mermaid's introductory speech is possibly brimming with excitement of a sweet, girlish variety. She is rather more amicable than the fine polish of her syllables, which make one to suggest. You might be a well-bred lady yourself with an accent to match, but you cannot help but feel overwhelmed. Anxiously, you observe the mermaid, and you ask her what she means. What happened? As to that, I'm afraid I cannot say. I have been sitting on these rocks and singing for many, many nights, but nobody has come to see me. There have been no lovely humans for me to play with. I was beginning to wonder whether your kind had disappeared altogether. I feared some matter of calamity had occurred while slumbering beneath the water's surface, and your kind has been eradicated. You shuddered then reassured the mermaid to the contrary. You did not know about the humans that she used to speak with, but you, at least, had not been eradicated. You are still here. Yes, well, I can see that. The mermaid answers with a light laugh. It is a relief. It really is a relief. My fellow merpeople who live beneath the water told me not to worry so, but I could not help myself. I've always been fond of you humans. It was rather sobering, sitting here night after night, all on my own. It gets so lonely here. Looks at the camera. Oh my god, it's been 2 hours. Oh my god, my voice is like dying. Oh. Okay. Oh my god. Now that is an interesting turn of phrase. Have you heard before? Yes. So, dear human, did you say that you were unfamiliar with these parts? Hesitantly, you examined the mermaid. Thoughtless that you might be at times, you are not very self-centered that you cannot detect a note of longing in the mermaid's voice. It is evident as she looks at you that she's hoping for a particular answer to her query. This answer, alas, is not one you could furnish her with. You do not want to lie to her. As after some hesitation, therefore, you reaffirmed her earlier words. This time, you embellish them. You tell the mermaid that you are a traveler from a far-off land, one which is very similar to this one. It is not a complete fabrication. You tell her that you have only just arrived by the shore, and you are unfamiliar both with your immediate surroundings and those further afield. If there's a village nearby, then you have never set foot in it. You do not know what the village is like, nor how many inhabitants it boasts. You do not know of a calamity, as the mermaid grimly supposed, had struck this land. But if she fears all the humans within the immediate vicinity have been laid low by some mysterious lady, then she needn't be worried about overlay on that score. You are still alive. Are you not, you wonder, enough to satiate her curiosity with the human realm? Yes, that is true. You are here. And grateful, naturally, for your company, although... Wistfully, the mermaid sighs. I was rather hoping you might be able to bring me some news of the nearby village and of its inhabitants. This makes you wonder, was a particular person from this village she was close to? So you're able to work that much out, the mermaid answers with a small smile. You are an intelligent one, aren't you? Your past professors were a bit different at school. We were always awful when it came to academics, mathematics in particular. You can never get your head out of around all those numbers. Your stern, stony-faced math professor used to despair in you. But she's not here. None of them are here. Just you now and the mermaid, and she does not need to know about your dismal academic record. You allow yourself a small smile, touched by her compliments, and tell her that it was nothing more than a guess. For a guess, it was remarkably accurate. You are quite right. I did have a close friend from the nearby village. She was very dear to me. Eternally congratulate yourself on this piece of detective work. How very clever you are. There are many humans in this world, of that I know. The human who spoke to me with me, however, was special. She was my human. Did not fail to catch the possessive note in the mermaid's voice. And I cherished her dearly. She would come to me on my rock late at night when she was finished with her chores, and we would talk. I asked her a good number of questions about the human realm and about our customs. I fear my endless inquiries must have been rather tedious, but she was always happy to indulge me. She never once swore me for my ignorance, and neither did she make me feel like a fool. She always made time for me, no matter how many demands she had on her time. She was a farmer's daughter, and she was awfully busy from dawn until dusk, threshing hay and taking the animals out to the pasture. She told me of her work, and I marveled at her. Slender though she was, she possessed a truly tremendous amount of strength. I, who lived in the ocean all my life, cannot countenance working as hard as she did, but she bore her burdens without complaining. She was not the prettiest human as walked the earth, but that did not matter to me. Our conversation was engaging, and I knew through our continued encounters that she meant no ill will. She did not have a single drop of malice in her heart. The wistful manner in which the mermaid speaks of her friend makes you feel for a brief moments a flicker of some ugly primordial emotion. Could it be jealousy? Why would I be jealous? I don't know this person. It is painful, isn't it, to hear others wax poetic about those they hold dear? Particularly when you yourself had never been regarded in such an intimate a manner. Oh, never mind. I think that's envy. You have for many, many years been woefully alone. But you are not alone now. You're with the mermaid, and she's with you, and though she might prefer to be in the company of an industrious farmhand, the farmhand is not here. Where did she go? Oh, if only I knew. She quite simply disappeared one day, almost as if she'd been whisked away by a wicked spirit. That seems quite the anticlimactic ending for such a close relationship. Did the farmhand not tell her companion beforehand that she might one day disappear? No, she did not. Nothing of the sort happened. It was all very sudden. So you asked, feeling affronted upon the mermaid's behalf, did she not give you any warning? Not a single one. When you asked, did she disappear? I do not know, in truth. Time is a strange concept to beings such as myself, particularly as it seems to ebb and flow differently both above and below the surface. You humans have a strange compulsion to pin down and to place labels upon everything. You have names for your seasons and for your months and even for days of the week. It's all very precise. We merfolk, however, don't bother with such affairs. Perhaps because we live for so much longer than you humans do. We have no need to obsessively document our days, not when we have so many of them at our disposal. This curious remark catches your attention. How long exactly do mermaids live for? The mermaid does not look much older than you, but you cannot help but wonder. My, dosy aren't we? The mermaid asks, and she laughs, a soft tinkling sound like that of a bell, which makes you blush. Are you being a nose? Perhaps you were. You've always had a thirst for knowledge, not of the dry, dusty academic variety, but of stories people with strange persons. Literature was the only subject you were ever any good at. Again, it is hard for me to quantify, but to put it in terms for a human like you can understand, I suppose we mermaids can live for centuries. Centuries? That's quite the surprise. Perhaps it should be. You've been subjected to a number of surprises tonight. What is one more to add to the pile? I have not been waiting quite that long, however, for my friend to return to me. I think it has been but a few seasons. It might not sound like much, but never before I've been so aware of the passage of time. I've experienced any number of wants during my life, but I have never wanted anything quite as badly as I want to see her. I wish she would sit with me, and she would talk to me just one more time. But perhaps I'm asking for an impossibility. I've been waiting for long enough now to presume that she will not be returning to me. I fear that something must have happened to her, or to her family, or perhaps to her whole village. You can hear the worry throbbing in the mermaid's voice, so potent that for a few moments, you swear you can feel the depths of her sorrow within your own breast. Her sadness over the student's girl is a deep, dark thing, almost fathomless. You cannot let yourself indulge it for too long. Otherwise you fear you might drown in it. Fearfully you tell the mermaid once more that you cannot help her. You are only a traveler after all. What do you know of a single insignificant farmhand in a nearby village? Okay, well, this farmhand seems to be significant to the mermaid, let's not be cruel. Yes, I thought you might say that. It is quite unfortunate, but oh well. I ought not to reflect upon all that I am missing. It would be churlish of me, and it would not be fair to you either. If you do not approach me, I am sure with the hope of hearing about all my woes. I should be grateful instead for all it is that I do have. I still have my long, long life which stretches before me like a golden cord, and of course I have you now. Refreshing? Do I not? I ought to go soon before my absence is noticed, but will you not come and visit me again tomorrow night? I think I would like that. I have always enjoyed speaking to humans. You make me feel less alone. You cannot help but feel, as the mermaid observes you with those enchanting eyes of hers, that she does not truly wish to speak to you for your sake. She wants to use you instead as a substitute for the farmhand that she's been missing so very ardently. Thought sings, though you really ought to be used to it. Still, though, to be held in lower esteem than a farmhand, of all things, it makes your self-esteem sing. You try not to let the mermaid notice this, though. The woes of your past are not her fault. Much of the woes of her past are not yours. It is silly, in any case, to be jealous of a girl who might very well be dead. That is what you tell yourself. It's the only way to prop up your bruised sense of self-worth. You would, tell the mermaid after a pause, like to see her again. You would like that very much. Oh, thank you. I have been feeling very gloomy for quite some time, but seeing you has invigorated me. Finally, it feels as though I can smile again. Did she not smile, you wonder, after a friend disappeared? I did not know. I did not have the heart. Without her, the world seemed very dull and drab. Her company has cheered me up immensely. This is why I like humans so much. We're not callous and unfeeling like the merfolk who live beneath the water surface. You're much kinder than they are. Oh, if only she knew. If the mermaid was aware, I wonder of how petty you are and how jealous would she still care for you. Well, that is neither here nor there. You agree to meet the mermaid and come sundown the following night, then make your slow, swimming way back up the cliffs, then to the cottage you have learned on your own. And I think I'm gonna have that as a stopping point for tonight. That and my voice is dying. This is a lot of reading. Oh. but I love gay shit. Yes, yes. So I think I'll put this also for next week. We might be finishing RPGs next week, I guess. Um, yeah. I think it's a good stopping point. We'll continue this next week. Tomorrow we're going to be playing The Moon Looks Beautiful tonight. Also seemingly very gay. Seems to be a trend here. But I also need to rest my voice. We'll probably play a little bit longer for tomorrow. The goal would try to finish The Moon Looks Beautiful tomorrow. Given it's a Friday. Yay. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you have a good afternoon, evening, night, wherever you're at. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Hopefully, I feel fine. But catch you later. Bye bye. Bye bye.